Well, let's go back to the studio and hear the thoughts of Shaun, Steve, Paul and Kel.
Good evening, welcome back to our Matchday Live studio. Of course, we are bringing you all the coverage during our Champions League game against RB Leipzig. It's half-time at the Etihad Stadium. It's Manchester City 0, RB Leipzig 2. Massive thank you to Alistair Mann and Andy Morrison on commentary as well. We'll be back with them in just a bit. Steve, Shaun and Paul with me. Shaun, that definitely wasn't a script, was it? I mean, I can't even remember the last time we coming into this show, not only kind of being 2 goals down, but almost an unrecognisable City performance.
Absolutely spot on there. Watching it and just almost in disbelief, because we've set such high standards for ourselves as a team, and how we play and how we move the ball and dominate the ball in the opposition. But we're just seeing tonight, you know, one little mistake, and these mistakes are like, you know, a pass is 3-4 yards off, and then it's going perhaps another player, and it's really odd to watch, because this is not like us. And again, we set such high standards, and I have to say, Leipzig in the way they're playing, they've gotten belief because of a little bit of how we're playing. Initially, I'm looking at the tactics and how we're playing, and I thought Rico seems to be the key player, because it's almost like we had 3 10s, and he was another 10. But we couldn't really find him. We found him the one time when he receives it, gets turned, and then has the shot. But they've been really sort of organised in screening the balls in between. But it really is our passing, and it's been off. I can't remember the last time I've seen Rodri give away, you know, 2 passes. Tonight it's been 3 or 4 passes, and it's so not like him. But I'd say that, you know, looking back, I know you get into the chances and stuff like that. It's us with the passing, but it's also to concede chances from our defenders, who have been immaculate for years, never mind a season. And to sort of get done with those goals, it just shows you there's a few things that Pep's going to have to fix. Yeah,
a few things that Pep's going to have to fix. Looking at the defensive side of our game, that half, Steve, again, I think with in every area, it's not been something we're used to seeing. Where have they been going wrong for you, or what have you seen that's just not been quite working? I mean, that high line at times, it seems to be so easy for them to get in behind.
Yeah, they've had a couple of opportunities to punish City. I think just on the one there with Diaz, when he gets booked, if the lad doesn't go down, he plays the lad through again, and he's clean on goal, because he'd be onside because he's in his own half. But I think, whilst defensively you would say it's been okay, the 2 goals come from very bad defending. And for me, I would say you'd be disappointed if you've got kind of 10, 11-year-olds playing, because the last thing that you want is your last defender trying to nick it. Just stay home. Yeah. Just make sure you don't get beat. I think Akanji, for the first one, he's actually the wrong side. And then he gets past him, and the lad, to be fair, shows good composure. And then the second one, I think it's Diaz, tries to nick it. It doesn't have to. You know, if you stay with him, you've got a chance, or you can hold him up, and then you can get bodies back. If you're the last defender, that's really, it's a cardinal sin. You know, the manager, I was going to say pulling his hair out, but we know.
But Steve, just on that, if you're Akanji or Diaz in the second one, do you not foul him if you know you're wrong side? Because you're at the halfway line. The ref's not going to just give him that nudge to knock him over. If you know you're wrong side,
I think the first one,
don't go in, but drop off a little bit. But if you're not going to do that and you're going to go in, is it not a good foul to give away there for a centre half?
I think for the Akanji one, I think he is a little bit further in City's half, and I think if he brings him down, I think he'd probably go, because he's straight in on goal. The Diaz one is out to their left-hand side, and he has got an awful long way to go, because we'd seen Guardiola trying to come back. Obviously, I thought he was going to come back more of an angle actually than what he did, because he kind of went more or less straight towards the post. And then he fronted him up, and the lad, because he's running back at pace, the lad's just got to check, and it's a simple finish. But disappointing. I mean, I know you'll probably be asking Dickie about the chances, and I'll let him talk about that. But it's defensively, that would be something that Pep would be furious at them in the dressing room.
Just for you going, with the Akanji's one, I mean, Paul and I looked at each other because Akanji's strong. He's a solid defender, and it seemed as though, I don't know if he underestimated the striker's strength, because they both sort of nudged he nudged the attacker, but he didn't sort of move. And whether he underestimated the strength of it, because he's a shorter player, but he's probably a powerful player, and so therefore the ball sort of rolls for him, goes through them, and then he's in. And I wonder, like, has he had a fraction of a second thinking, I can give him some a feeling, and then I'll knock him off to miscontrol it. But it's fallen for him, and I think obviously the more obvious thing would have been, we all know in hindsight, is actually just a goal side. Just go all the way around goal side, and then he can't beat you to the ball if it goes through, and if he has a touch, then you could just keep sending him back. But I thought he probably underestimated the strength of it.
He probably has, but the first thing you've got to do is get yourself in the right position at first, then go from there. Now, if he does you with brute strength,
especially if you're
fair enough.
Especially if you're the last man as well.
Yeah.
It's one of them. We were looking there, obviously focusing particularly on Diaz and Akanji there, but Paul, we were even saying there as well, and what we said at the start of the show, it's a team game, and actually you could probably look around, and for me, bar Guardiola, and I remember my opinion's probably not worth much, but I don't think anyone's really been having a good game. And the problems have also been started. The quick break at the start was misplaced passes up front and kind of just giving them a chance to play the ball over the top. It's been all over.
It has, and I can't remember any time doing a show on Matchday Live or watching City in previous seasons. I remember us being behind plenty of times, but thinking, do you know what, we're still comfortable here. But we were just saying off camera towards the end of the half that in any team at any level, you can maybe have one or two who are just not at it, and that's a human thing. It's human nature.
Of course,
everybody's going to have a bad game, but tonight it seems there's 5 or 6, or 7 that are just below the standard that we expect them to be at, and because the standard's that high, when they do drop off a little bit, you notice it so much more.
Yes,
but as I said, when you get 5 or 6 that are not really at it, but then, look. I think the goals were the warning sign over in Leipzig, because they came out second half and scored a very, very similar goal. It was a long ball over the top.
Yep.
Penda straight in scores. It's happened twice tonight. Could have happened 3 times, as Steve said there. So just maybe a little bit of organisation on that side of it. But we've still created 4 or 5 really, really good chances. That's as poor as I've seen us in a long, long time.
Yeah.
But that's because the standards we set are so high. But we're still creating these chances. Andy said in commentary, maybe just be a little bit more clinical. We could have had that performance, which wasn't great, but walked in quite easily, leading 4-2.
Yes, yeah.
So I'm sure Pep will sort a few things out at half time. Ruben Diaz is treading very lightly, so Shaun said whether he takes him off, he's been booked. Slightly lucky not to get another booking after the foul. If he's another one, could possibly get sent off. And then does he put Bernardo back in the middle, where we're more familiar with him being, he's had a big influence his last couple of games, put Phil back out on the right where he's been playing for us all season. But I'm sure he'll tweak a couple of little things, but more than anything else, he's talking about giving the ball away, but I think it's the tempo that we're playing at as well.
Yes.
We're used to seeing us doing 1 and 2 touch, but zipping it out, it just seems a little bit slow and a little bit off it. So look, if anybody's going to sort it out at half time, it'll be Pep.
It'll be Pep Guardiola. I did want to wonder, is the balls over the top were so reminiscent of, as you say, the goal that they scored when we played them in the away leg. But there was, remember when Pep first joined, and it seemed to be our Achilles heel, it would be so exposed and one ball over the top of the back. Am I right to be worrying Shaun and going, hang on, that just looks like City of old there, how easy they've been getting in behind us? Because even if you remember at the start of the game, remember Akanji did a brilliant tackle, didn't he? Kind of chucked the man back, and I thought, all right, that's covered. But actually that was just a sign of what was to come for the next 45 minutes.
Yeah, so it's just really surprising that we've got two centre halves that's been caught out on situations that they don't normally make those decisions. They get goal side, they play safe, and they say you've got to do something really clever, or you've got to have some great support that's going to expose me now. But what made the decisions we just made the decisions that were made, which hasn't turned out to be good. But with all that said, with the standards that this team we have. We've created chances, and there's still. I'm sure in most City fans, if not all City fans, we know we're going to go and create chances. And I think we'll hear the tempo of the crowd come up, and I think, as Paul said, the ball speed will get quicker, and I think we'll start to create those chances. But we do have to make sure at the back that we are switched on in terms of not making those decisions to go half around the side to toe poke balls or win balls and get done. And I think there may be some tweak with Rico, because Rico is in a position where he's like an asset if we find him, but we haven't been able to find him.
And then
And so I think we may go a little bit something normal as opposed to like 3 10s, as opposed to having a normal 2 10s, if you like.
Yeah.
That goes to what we're talking about the tempo. You know, Rico's getting in some great positions, but by the time we actually look to find them, they're all back in their shape again.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, tempo. I wondered, Steve, Paul mentioned it, and we have to talk about it because Alistair Mann mentioned it in commentary, and I agreed with him. I think had it been the other way around, we'd probably be gutted or a bit angry that one of their players. Are we lucky to still have 10 men on the pitch? Diaz picks up a yellow card, I think around 15, 20 minutes in. Shaun, you said probably be a substitution half time. But then right at the end there was a moment of play. Is he lucky to still be on the pitch?
I think he is, yeah. I mean, how much contact is there? Is that enough for the player to go down? In all fairness, for me, if there's not enough contact for the player, I can't understand why he would go down, because he could play his mate in and he's through one-on-one. Yes, he's got basically to run from his own half all the way through, but I think he's very fortunate. As Dicky said, I think the manager will probably... I'll be very surprised if he starts the second half.
Yeah.
But yes, I mean, listen, we've been critical of City there, and I think rightly so. I mean, because there's been plenty of times we've been praising them so much, and rightly so. But I think let's not take nothing away. Leipzig have been very, very good.
Yes.
You know, they have played really well. Their tempo has been excellent. But given that, even though they have had that tempo like that, the team's managed to create a lot of chances. Now, if you get, as Dicky said, which is absolutely spot on, you take some of them chances, you're still winning 4-2 at half time, even though you've been actually quite poor.
Yes, yeah.
So that's the positive in one way. You know, if they can raise the tempo, they could create another 6 or 7 chances in the second half, and then it could be, 3-4-5-2.
And if we look at the bigger picture as well, if you're the other European top teams, and you say, well, City's won 3-2 or drawn, and then they look at reflection of the game, it gives some hope to some of those other teams. Say maybe City's just not at it. So I think from a psychological point, it's about putting on a really good second half performance and winning that game. So at the end of the game, it's still City won the game. We played poor, but won the game. So that other European teams don't look and think, well, perhaps this could be a time where we can get over on City.
Absolutely. Well, listen, the teams are in the tunnel there. I'm just going to ask them, do we have time to quickly look at the mystery blue clue? We do indeed. All right, let's quickly bring you our third and final clue, and then we'll reveal at full time who the mystery blue is. Can we bring them up on the screen quickly? Okay, here we go. So clue number 1 is this player is a teammate of regular Matchday Live guests. Clue number 2 is this player was the first signing under Franny Lee as chairman, and the third clue is an anagram of ruler's woe. So third and final clue, there's a few guesses here in the studio that look quite happy. Right, full time we'll be bringing you that. Alistair Mann, Andy Morrison and commentary come back, and hopefully we'll be talking about a classic Manchester City turnaround. They've done it before and they can do it again, and look at that, Nathan Ake coming on, probably assuming, as I said, in the studio for Ruben Diaz on that yellow card. So let's see how the boys get on. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back at full time.
Welcome back to the Etihad Stadium. Nathan Ake is on for Ruben Diaz. A change which Pep Guardiola nearly never got the chance to make, because he was almost sent off at the end of that first half, Ruben Diaz. Nathan Ake comes on for him to protect him. Well, the last time that City came from 2 goals behind to win a Champions League game is indeed the only time that they've come from 2 behind.